Good morning. Welcome to the Isle of Skye with Jonathan and Jennifer. Well-traveled life.
And we're going to hit Dunvegan and Carbost and a couple of the places that you know about, Dunvegan Castle and the ferry pools, but a really great alternative to the ferry pools as well. We've got some wonderful footage of seals and castles and waterfalls.
Yeah, lots of good drone footage. The Isle of Skye and drones were really, I think, made for each other.
Except when it rains.
And except when you fly it into mountainsides. But,
or it's super windy.
It's just incredibly beautiful there. So.
In this series on Skye, we have gone over the house that we stayed in, Glamaig, and we do that because we think it's really important that you spend time in Skye. Don't just go for a day. You can't do it all. We've also covered the area from Portree up to the Old Manor Store, and then we went from Leith Falls and Kiltrock up to the Glamaig. Tammy was with us for the entire time that we were in Skye, which was about a week, and we hired Wooly from Wooly's Tours and Taxi Services for a day of touring to get the most out of the island. Join us for this particular venture. Our first video focused on the area between Portree and the Old Manor Store, with some hidden gems in between. The next video went from Leith Falls and Kiltrock through Stathen and up to the Glamaig. And in this video we will cover the eastern and southern side of the island. We try to feature some hidden gems and make sure we get to the places that you know you have to go. Just so you get your bearings, let's cover where each of these places are. We'll start with Dunvegan, then we'll head to the Coral Beach, on to the distillery, over to Glenbrittle Falls, take views of the Red and the Black Cuillin Mountains. Then we'll get to Sligachan and Glamaig and up to Portree for the Isle of Skye Candle Company. Dunvegan Castle lies at the heart of the 41,000-acre MacLeod estate, and it's a great place for us to start our tour today. Just a mile north of the town of Dunvegan lies the castle. It is situated on a rock about 50 feet above sea level, projecting onto the eastern shore of that inlet. There are some extra things that you can do there that may be of interest, and you do need to pre-book that. There are known seal colonies in the Loch Dunvegan, and they will take you out in a boat, and you can go see those. You'll need to pre-book that. There's also a loch cruise, and you'll need to pre-book that, and usually you need about 2 days in advance in order to get that booking taken care of. If you want to do just the gardens, not the castle, that ticket's £14. Although Dunvegan is a private residence, it is open to the public for tours. Tickets cost about £16. You don't need to pre-book those. You can just get tickets when you arrive. It is still privately owned by Hugh Magnus MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. On the other side of it, there is a partly natural ditch of about 18 feet deep. So it really does have that sense that it is a castle. It was first built in the 13th century and developed piecemeal over the centuries. In the 19th century, the whole castle was remodeled in a mock medieval style. It's built on an elevated rock overlooking an inlet on the eastern shore of Loch Dunvegan, a sea loch. Just a 10-minute drive from Dunvegan Castle is the Sligachen Coral Beach. Let's go there for this surprise. To get to this beach, you're going to take a single-track road to the north of the village of Dunvegan. It's just about 4.5 miles from there. And at the end of the single track road, there is a gravel car park. It's going to be busy on a really sunny day because that's when you most want to go see this particular beach.
Without a care in the world, I was
most of the walk on the way to the beach is downhill, so it's a relatively easy walk and takes you about 25 minutes to get to the beach. And it's a total of about 3.5 kilometers.
Little girl, daydreamer, kidnap me. Take me back, all the way back to them days. Running around.
As you're taking the path out, you're going to come across this little white sand beach and you're going to think you've hit the coral beach, but this is not it. What you actually need to do is, follow that path, go up the hill, you're going to go through that rock wall, you're going to go over the ridge, and then you'll find the coral beach.
No mistake ever kept me late. We spent summers catching fireflies and winters on our skates. One big smile across my face. We used to dance our way to church on Sundays. Mama set the pace. Daydreamer, kidnap me.
This is the middle of summer. We're in the height of the good season. How's your weather at home today?
Running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.
You're just going to follow the same path there and back. You're going to pass through some farmland. You're likely to see cattle, so just be wary of them. There sometimes is a bull in the area, but he minds his own business. It shouldn't be a problem for you at all. Of course, you want to keep your dogs on leads. Now you've reached the white coral beach. If you didn't know you were in Hawaii, just touch the water and that'll make sure you know. This is Scotland, not Hawaii. Even though this is called Coral Beach, it's actually not really coral. It is a crushed, bleached skeleton of red coralline seaweed, which is also known as marl. You will find shells on the beach, but you are asked to look at them and not take them home. Go a little bit further and find some rock pools further down the beach where during tidal times you'll see lots of different creatures.
Running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.
Right next to the beach there's a hill known as the Vein, and it's just a quick climb up to the top and gives you fabulous views down below. If you're there at really low tide, you may find that you were able to access the little island called Glamaig, which is just 150 meters offshore, and you'll see a little coral causeway at low tide. So it was downhill on the way there. On your way back, you're going uphill, so it may take you a little bit longer to get back than it did to get to the beach.
Daydreamer, kidnap me. Take me back, all the way back to them days. Daydreamer, kidnap me. Have me running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot. Have me running around, dressed in a gown, barefoot.
After a wee walk, it's time for a wee dram. Let's go to the Talisker Distillery for a look round and a bit of a taste. Lying on the Minginish Peninsula, on the shores of Loch Harport, with dramatic views of the Quillins, and in the city of Carbost, the Talisker Distillery is the oldest working distillery on the island. Known for its single malt Scotch whiskey, it is a complete tourist destination with a museum-like visitor center, tours of the distillery, including the 5 copper pot stills and the traditional wort tubs that make their blend so unique. You can even see the casks in the warehouse where the angel's share is lost to evaporation during maturation. We are here for the tastings, but also got lured by the shopping experience. For an exceptional dining experience at the distillery, you've got the Three Chimneys restaurant, award-winning food. The Talisker Distillery is a big distillery in the Isle of Skye. This is more than just a distillery. This is a little museum, a little exhibit area. You've got a gift shop and a tasting room. They do tours here, and you can get tickets there. Oh, they also have public restrooms. Good to know. Barring bad weather, the distillery is open year-round, generally from 10 to 4, a little bit longer in the summer months, but in the winter, do check and make sure that they are open because bad weather does force unexpected shutdowns. And if you're going in the summer and you want a tour, it's probably best to book ahead. You can buy flights to taste. You don't have to do a tour to do the tasting. And they have 3 different levels of flights. So they have sort of what they call the character flight. They have, and that's the number 2 flight. They have an overall sort of lower level flight. None of those are older than about 11 years. And then they have a really high-end flight. If you really know your whiskey and you really want to try the good stuff, that's like $186 for a flight. We tried the number 2, the character flight. Kind of liking what we're tasting. Done.
1, 2, 3.
Number 1.
Got it.
Number 2. Number 3.
So that means if we were to buy these, we would have to buy. Come on, there you go. That's the winner. Yep.
The 18-year-old single malt. That's our winner. Tips. It's a jar of water with a dropper. And we were warned not to use more than a few drops. We did add 5 drops of water to our number 2 and our number 3 whiskeys, and we sure liked the taste better, and it meant that we could breathe. That was good. Is there anyone that you want more in?
I think number 3.
Lime. On the shores of Loch Harford, we stopped in Carbost at the Old Inn for lunch. This is a popular restaurant for locals, but also for tourists and hill walkers. They will only take table reservations for guests that are staying at their accommodation. Otherwise, they work on a first-come, first-served basis for lunch and for evening meals. The ferry pools are a can't-miss stop in Skye, but we have an alternative that might be a little easier to get to. Let's head to Glenbrittle Falls. The out and back trail up to the ferry pools is moderately challenging. It's about 4.2 kilometers and it'll take you about an hour and a half to complete it. You can wild swim in the pools. In fact, that's one of the things they're known for. It's a little chilly, but it's one of those experiences. The ferry pools is crowded though. This is one of the places that sort of everybody knows about and everybody wants to go. So you're going to run into a lot of people there. And if you're looking for a more solitary experience, we have another idea for you. Right across from the Hosteling Scotland Youth Hostel is the Brittle River with waterfalls. Don't miss this. While we were there, the only other people we saw were sheep. We had very few cars even pass by on this road. The hostel has a variety of accommodation types, from private rooms to unisex and mixed dorms. Everybody gets USB charging points, and they do have individual bed lights. Some of the rooms even have mountain views, although none of them are en suite. There are ample shower and washroom facilities available, as well as laundry, a large drying room, there's a public phone, and bike storage for up to 10 bikes. They do have some basic provisions like frozen ready meals and sweets and soft drinks that are available to purchase. There is no Wi-Fi and very limited mobile signal in this area. And there is some parking in front of the hostel. They do offer a wee breakfast that you need to book in advance. But it is licensed and does serve local beers and wines. A single bed is £26 and a room is £75. aren't the fairy pools. These are a different set of waterfalls and pools, and the parking was simple and getting to them was easy, and there was no traffic and no other tourists. We had them to ourselves. Steep but relatively short hike will get you up to the tallest waterfall that plunges 60 feet into the gorge. The falls lie at the base of the Cuillin Mountains. Let's take a moment and talk about them. There are two Cuillin ranges that dominate the landscape on Skye. You've got the Black Cuillin and the Red Cuillin, and they are separated by Glen Sligachen. We're going to talk about that next. The Black Cuillin Ridge is the most challenging mountain range. It's 11 kilometers long and it's over 3,000 feet high in certain places. The ridge contains 11 Munros and 16 summits. The highest point is Sgwr Alistair, and it's 3,254 feet high. The gentler, rounder Red Cuillins are popular with hillwalkers, and the highest point is Glamaig, and it's 2,543 feet. The Black Cuillin Ridge was formed 60 million years ago, and it really is the remains of an eroded magma chamber of a huge volcano. It's mainly hard, rough gabbro rock. There is some smoother basalt, and the ridge is sculpted into its current form by this glacial activity and weathering over the millennia. And that's what has created this jagged, edged character of the ridge. The Red Cuillins, on the other hand, are mainly made up of granite, which was less resistant to the glaciers than the gabbro was, and so they have a much more rounded appearance. If you aren't content to just look at the mountains and you want to go hiking, we want to give you a little bit of a warning. The mountains produce wetter and windier weather than anywhere else on the island, and it's going to be 4 to 5 degrees colder on the summits than it is at sea level. It's just incredibly unpredictable, and you can never assume it's going to remain the same from the time that you set off until the end of your day. The ridge at the Black Cuillin comprise extremely rough terrain. There's boulder hills, there's these really steep scree slopes, and these knife-edged ridges. These are suitable really only for experienced climbers. In the Red Cuillins, even though they're a little less challenging, they do contain areas of really steep, rocky terrain. So before you go, you need to really plan carefully, make sure people know where you're going to be and what your route is. Give a time when you expect to set off and a time that you're going to be back. You always want to take a mobile phone with you, but to be fair, there's very little GPS or mobile signal that you're going to be able to get once you're in the mountains. The Black Cuillin is considered an alpine mountain range, and it really is suitable only for climbing. It's not a walking trail. There's a large number of hazards unique to any other mountains in the UK. You need to be able to tackle part of the ridge using scrambling and climbing skills, some abseiling experience, and really good experience in route finding through really steep rocky terrain. There is no natural supply of water on the ridge, so you really need to bring a good supply of drinking water with you. There are lots and lots of really good guidebooks, but to be fair, if you are inexperienced or even just a little bit unsure, the best idea is to hire a guide. Sligachen lies in the shadow of the Cuillin Range. Let's try and cover as much as we can about this little area where legends are made and legends are told. It is 10 miles between Sligachen and the opposite side of the island near the Talisker Distillery. There is a trail that you can take and it's fairly flat, but it can be boggy in places. But there's nice reward on both sides and you're literally walking between the two ranges. The town of Sligachen itself is dominated by a couple of bridges, a hotel, a monument, a mythological river, and a mountain race of mythological proportions. Spanning the Sligachen River are two bridges. The new bridge is for automobile traffic and the old bridge is just for cyclists and pedestrians. The engineer who designed that original bridge and had it built between 1810 and 1818 is Thomas Tilford, and he may best well be known for his scheme to save money on churches that he was commissioned to design. Using the British tax laws that levied taxes by the window, Telford made the astute decision to have windows on only one side of the church.
So if you see a church and it's only got windows at one side, you know that was built by Thomas Telford.
But it's the water under the bridge where the real legend lies. The mythology goes something like this. Skye had a very fierce female warrior, and when Ireland heard of her talents, they sent over their most fierce warrior. The two went to battle over and over. It lasted for weeks. Well, the Skye warrior's daughter was brokenhearted by all of this fighting. She went and cried tears in the river, not knowing that it was a conduit to the fairy world. The fairies heard her plea and granted her wish, but only if she would dip her face in the water for 7 seconds. She did as she was told, and then she went off to make a feast of the finest Scottish foods. As she was cooking, the smells permeated the island, and the warriors stopped their fighting in order to come and taste the feast. By inviting the enemy into her home and providing hospitality in the form of food and shelter, they had guaranteed a truce, for it is a deeply held Scottish belief that you cannot be at war with a guest. Having ended the battle, the result is that anybody who goes and dips their face in the water for 7 seconds will have eternal beauty. So much for peace and hospitality and those kinds of lessons. It's all about the beauty. But don't think I didn't stick my face in the water. Looming over the bridge and the water is Glamaig, the northernmost hill of the Red Cuillins. With an elevation of 2,543 feet, its nearly perfect cone shape and scree sides make it an imposing mountain. For the brave ones, there is a race up and down Glamaig of the Red Cuillins, and it's no joke and pretty serious. Wooly gives us a little history of that.
And it all started with two Gurkhas standing in the bar. They had a few drinks. One of the said to the other one, he says, "I bet you can't run to the top of that hill and back down again." The man done it in under an hour. People come from all over the world now to do this Glamaig hill race. For 10 years in a trot, the same wee Gurkha went and won it. The quickest the man ever done it was 45 minutes, 25 seconds. You should see the state of them when they come back down. It's so scree and their legs are ripped apart when they come back down.
The The Sligachen Hotel sits at the base of the mountains and the side of the river. It is an excellent lodging opportunity if you're looking for a bit of luxury in this wild landscape. At the head of the path through Glen Sligachen and next to the hotel is the monument to John Mackenzie and Norman Colley. Mackenzie was born in Sconser in 1856 and grew up climbing these craggy mountains. By the time he was 30, he was a renowned guide, and that's when he met Norman Colley, a professor. Together, they pioneered many of the technically challenging routes in the Cuillin Range that mountaineers are still using today.
The one sitting down is Colley, that was the surgeon, and the one standing up behind him is Mackenzie. He's they ended up lifelong friends and they're buried together out in Struan.
From Sligachen, if you head back out towards Portree, just before you get to the city, you will hit the Isle of Skye Candle Company. This is one of those local businesses that has just done incredibly well, and they have developed a visitor center that is truly more than a candle shop. You can find their candles all over the country, and they ship worldwide. In 2006, at age 19, James Robertson founded the Candle Company by creating the first soy wax candles, natural ingredients with natural fragrances that highlighted the beauty of Skye. He was looking for a way that he could live and stay on the island, but also to provide employment for other people that wanted to stay on the island and didn't have to leave to go make a living. With a theater, cinema, shop, and cafe, James is fulfilling his dreams of providing a sustainable product that takes its inspiration from this incredible landscape, celebrates his Hebridean heritage, and fortifies the local economy. And for pizza and beers with a view, you can get that here too. With gifts from the Highland Soap Company, Isle of Skye Candle Company, t-shirts, books, cards, woodwork, sculptures, some textiles. This is your one-stop stop for Highland souvenirs. So I think these are some of my favorite things. We just stopped by the side of the road. We saw a waterfall. We saw these incredible mountains. It just felt like a good place to go. Stick your toes in the water, catch a good view, take a break from driving. Those windy roads can be kind of something. And this is what you do in Scotland. Just take a little break and sit by the side of the road. Thanks for joining us on Skye. This has been an incredible trip. There are 4 videos just from Skye and a multitude from around Scotland. Try and catch all of them. This is one of our favorite places. We think you'll be as awestruck by the beauty in this country and the good people as we have been. Hey, do you stay tuned for the bloopers at the end? They're kind of funny. What's that in scientific terms called?
It's a jar of water with a dropper.
Do you say them Cuillin Mountains or Cuillin Mountains?
I say Cuillin.
Do you?
Yeah,
I think you're probably right.
but I'm not sure what locals say. Yeah.
We did it.
Turn off the camera, please.